very good afternoon to you all and a warm welcome to this edition of the Citizens Chat Show. We are streaming on YouTube and broadcasting on Civic Space TV. Always a pleasure to have you join us. And today we continue from where we stopped last week. That is the NRM Delegates Conference and the highly contested Central Executive Committee elections still by the ruling party. And in the studio with me, I am joined by my stellar panelists. From my immediate left, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, former Minister of State for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President. He's also the Director for Monitoring at the Operation Wealth Creation, former MP and also aspiring MP for Rubanda County West in Kabale District, a veteran NRM member, I should add, and founder. Makes you a veteran. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to your viewers.
And he is in a fully branded NRM outfit, as you can see. Good to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're going to paint for us a very good picture of what happened in Kololo. You were our eyes and ears over there. So we're looking forward to hearing that from you, first-hand account.
Correct.
And I also have with me Dr. Sarah Bireete, Executive Director, Center for Constitutional Governance. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Judith. Good afternoon, fellow panelists and viewers. Glad to be back on the Citizens platform.
Last but not least, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, Head of the History Department at Kyambongo University. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Today the panel is a little lean. For obvious reasons, you will get to know why. With two of our members, that's Dr. Retired Major Wich Paula and Honorable George Odongo, very busy also with NRM activities, and our other regular panelists is away attending to other personal matters. But we do hope to have them join us next week. So like you all know, we are talking about the NRM National Delegates Conference 2025. It wasn't just another party gathering, as you know. It was a crucial moment that has reset the political dynamics within the ruling party and also laid the groundwork for the 2026 general elections. We'll be looking at the contentious Central Executive Committee elections, the winners, the surprising losses, the allegations of irregularities, and what this means for the future of the ruling party and Uganda. We shall also look at the new power brokers in the ruling party and where the actual balance of power lies. So, very quickly, I am going to start with Honorable Banyenzaki. You were in Kololo, in and out, very busy. Just paint us a picture. We were only watching on TV, online, on social media what was happening and following the news, of course.
Oh, thank you very much. The conference is right now being closed by the chairman of the party, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And that was, I think even today, he's going to be nominated, or he's already nominated. And he is the sole candidate. So he's the only one, so no voting on the presidential candidate of NRM, because he came as a sole candidate. As to these other members of the CEC, Central Executive Committee, which is the top policy organ of the NRM, elections are also done. Amidst challenges, some have challenged the outcomes right away, some have withdrawn, others have considered defeat, but so it is, I wouldn't say the participants, the SEC members who had participated, like Right Honorable Kadaga, for her, she has not conceded. We have Honorable Bariomunsi, who is on record, and I wish you could play his clip. And he said he could not subject himself to that kind of elections, which he called the sham elections. Mukura also withdrew his candidature. We saw the national youth elections being cancelled, and they were cancelled and fighting, amidst the fighting, and they were suspended. by His Excellency, the chairman of the party, on the phone, on the screen at 3 a.m. And then we have also the entrepreneurship rig, which was the elections were cancelled. So by and large, it has been a very big challenge to conduct those elections. And I think it is the first election that the NRM is at the national level they are conducting, which lining was adopted. And the last one was done during COVID, and it was done at the district level. So this one has been challenging because there are thousands and thousands of the people, and actually it is, for once I sympathized with Tango Doi, because the numbers are not manageable at all. It's not manageable. It is not feasible to have those people have elections by lining of thousands of people. So it is really, and besides, of course, there is, as usual, there was some allegations which actually factual. I saw it myself. There is bribing at the highest order. There have been bribing up to 4 million shillings for a vote, and one would wonder where the people who are getting that, dishing that kind of money, billions of money. It's also on record. The Speaker of Parliament, Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Taibwa, also put it on record, and I associate with his statement and say, one wonders, how do you pay 5 billion shillings to be elected on a SEC position?
A voluntary position.
Which doesn't have a salary, which doesn't have an office. Why? Even it has gone, even some are paid 6 billion. So it is a threat to the NRM. One day, a guy will come with billions of money and he will purchase all those positions, and the NRM party will be in the hands of businessmen, or terrorists, for example. Whoever will have money takes it all. And this streams to what was even primary elections of members of parliament, all those organs down there. It was bribery, it was confusion, and I think the NRM has to wake up to the occasion. Even the president himself, the chairman, has also accepted and condemned that whole process. So it is embarrassing. It is not good. It's not good at all. In as far as governance within our NRM, which is the ruling party, the precedent that is setting is not definitely a desirable one. And this gives you a caster. It casts to what other elections will be. If we are going to have national elections, and the national elections, the participants copy from what's happening in NRM, then even the national elections will be questionable. So the issue of internal democracy within parties and the national, the democracy generally is now being put on test, and it is not desirable at all. So I hope the NRM leadership, and especially this all points to His Excellency the President, the chairman of the party, has to do something. So in my opinion, I think it's high time that the NRM went back to the secret ballots. Maybe the secret voting. Because secret voting, this system where people are procuring, people direct, and we had even some other instances where somebody procured the voters and took them on a merry-making tour, Kenya, Tanzania. When they came here, 4 days staying in a 5-star hotel. So this is not tenable unless something is done. Otherwise, the internal democracy within the NRM has been put on a test. But this is not only, the challenge is not only NRM. I can see this is the same thing that happened in DP. It is happening in UPC. It is happening in most of the, it is happening even Nope. So the kind of what is streaming into the Ugandan democracy now as we see it, I don't know. Maybe Sarah Bireete will help me to tell us which words one can use, because the whole total democracy within our parties it has collapsed. It has collapsed.
So, Honorable, you are a founding member of the party, and this is not the very first time that you're holding these elections. What makes this year's contest fundamentally different from past elections? Is it just the money? Is it the sheer scale of irregularities? What is it?
The investment of the speculators that wanted to be elected is unprecedented. It is unprecedented for a vote to be procured up to 6 million shillings.
Per person?
Per person. It is unprecedented. It is unprecedented for someone to get the voters, put them on a plane, flies them to another country, hides them there for a week, brings them back, accommodates them in a 5-star hotel, and meanwhile even the competitors, the few who remained, are also accommodated in 5-star hotel. So it was a competition of who pays more. And all this thing was happening with the watch of the state. Because the state has an all-round eye. I am sure the state knew what was happening at any particular moment. So action, the president is swinging action. The beauty of it is that the president, who is the chief in command of the armed forces, intelligence forces, name it, he's the one who commands them, he's the one who conducts all that kind of stuff. So if there is a will, it will be corrected. But if there is no will, we shall remain in this kind of confusion. But if we remain in this kind of confusion, one wonders, where are we going? Because, if you are going to have that kind of internal democracy, which the Honorable Baryomunsi, who is the Minister for National Guidance, has made a statement, and he has the statement that has made, then where are we going? What's going to happen to the national elections organized by the National Election, the Independent Electoral Commission of Uganda?
Thank you. Sarah, let me come to you. You've been, of course, like all of us, you've been observing these processes and this exercise that the NRM has been holding. And we know what the results are, especially, I think, when you look at the race that garnered the most headlines, the race for the national vice chairperson female, which pitted former Speaker Rebecca Kadaga, who was the incumbent, against also the Right Honourable Speaker Anita Among, the current Speaker of Parliament. We know Kadaga lost to Anita Among. It was clearly a high-stakes contest, and I would like to hear your reflections and your thoughts about the entire process, not just about Kadaga versus Anita Among, but generally. But also, like Honourable is asking, what does this mean? What do these results tell us about the future of NRM, and also, broadly speaking, the future of this country?
In our old school, and I'm aware, which is not here.
You were Ontario.
Yes.
It is not there.
Yeah, today it's not there. But the motto for Bweranyanji is that you reap what you sow. I think there is a Luganda version for that.
Yes.
Yes. So the NRM introduced the politics of money to have advantage over the others, and they are now reaping. It's harvest time. They are reaping the seeds that they sowed in our politics. If you look at the whole process of the internal primaries, first the decision to line up in this time and age, even in a simple meeting where you have small participants, for the sake of, for example, the colleges in the US, where it's a small college and they want to decide on a candidate, they raise hands. They could say stand up, line up, but they don't. The most open voting that people have, you know, broken into that maintains a bit of sanity is raising hands. You have 23,000 delegates. You can print out names of candidates because you know them. And there is a box for people to pick a pen and tick. You know, people have made a claim that to do a secret ballot election, you need huge sums of money. It's not true. In a party primary, they can print on a piece of paper, ordinary ream of paper. You can print names and put a box for ticking, and people indicate their choices. What is important in elections is that the choice of a voter is clear and can be quantifiable, not mixed up to say, did they vote for Judith or they meant Sarah? That's the most important thing. So the NRM decision, former SEC decision, to say people must line up is archaic, is rudimentary, and it's prone to the saga that we have witnessed. My most sad event from Kororo was women, elderly women who were fighting for pieces of paper. I don't know whether it was a voter register or whatever it was. Those women had children back home watching them making a fool of themselves. I felt so sad. Right from the grassroots elections, the reports we have indicate that voters wait to see which line is likely to be wrong because they don't want to be associated openly with losers. So if I were to advise any candidate in these NRM elections, I would tell them to mobilize 20 agents that can line up in their position within the first 30 seconds. Immediately they say, get on your marks, kind of, set, go. You have 20 people jumping behind your picture. There is an 80% chance that you would win. Because the other voters are waiting to see which line is likely to be wrong. If, for example, the women, the two women on race, if it was a secret ballot, Kadaga would have performed better than she did. A lot of her supporters actually abstained for fear of repercussions, especially those intending to go to parliament. They have watched how the current Speaker of Parliament has been going after the people who don't toe her line, taking them off trips, making sure they harass them up to their even bedrooms, so they don't want to face that wrath of a speaker who is in the race for a petty voluntary job at SEC. Why do I call it? Why do I call it a petty voluntary job at SEC? A Speaker of Parliament is number 3 in the order of hierarchy in the country.
Wondering.
Like, what is it? And that first mistake was made by Kadaga. Kadaga should not have set that precedent of a speaker competing for a village race in a party. They should have been risen above that. You have a speaker, you are number 3 in the country, you are, by virtue of your office, you are invited to attend SEC meetings as an ex-official.
True.
So what is the race for, apart from ego? What is it? What is it? And that's part of the message in the speaker's clip. He said, as a deputy speaker, I attend SEC. So why would he even be there, and it's a do or die for meetings that you are already entitled to attend? So the speaker race has been reduced to people seeking closeness with the president for cutting deals from the population. The president has been crying about his staff selling appointments or letters, even to reach him, you pay 30 million. But these people crying to join CEC, they just want now to be deal brokers. I can go to the president, I can take your issue to the president, and they'll be collecting money from investors and the business community, or even any other desperate citizen looking for the attention of the president. Because the president also was reduced like a clearing house in the country. It is not a presidency as envisaged in our constitution, especially Article 98, that looks at it as the most dignified office in the country, fountain of honor. It is a clearing house, you know, first in, first out kind of thing. So these people just want to get money from the population, seeking for actions of the president, for his attention. That's why there is so much interest. But I want to focus the remaining submission to the key issues that have come out now. We have seen a generational shift, the old guards being defeated. Of course, there were some people who were not as such old guards like Dr. Bariomusi. You can't call him a historical. In NRM, I think you can't.
Chiwanda.
Maybe the party. Yeah, but he's not part of the Bush group and whatever. 1986.
Chiwanda.
You have the likes of Chiwanda. Also, you as a new entrant, first time in SEC, the same as Chris. So those have also joined foreign. They have also come to stray bullets of that generational shift. Then, of course, you had the disorganization in the special interest groups. The youth elections. I hope, Honorable Banyenzaki says they were cancelled. I hope they were. Because reports coming from Kororo indicated that Brenda had defeated Tangodoi's son. Even by mere looking at the lines. But Tangodoi's son was announced by the father. Even that conflict alone. Like, Tangodoi should have gotten a member of the Electoral Commission, like Omach, or whoever, there are many. Somebody else to preside over in a race where his son is running.
And even leaves.
Yes, he shouldn't have been part of that race where his son is competing. And then now there is egg on his face. There is a petition, written petition filed. If the elections have been cancelled, I hope if there is to be a repeat, he stays very far away from a race where his son is competing. Then you had the saga from the Entrepreneurship League. Honorable has talked about it. I think it was a competition of money, just a bat of money. I don't think any ideas have been shared as to what those people would want to do for the business community. Then, of course, the Women League. I don't know what happened because the incumbent pulled out on the last minute. Maybe she wanted to save herself.
Did they Wanyoto?
Yes, embarrassment of defeat. I don't know what could have transpired there. Then, of course, the ones that have gone through, the workers, the veterans, you had the defeat of Jim, another historical going down. So there's that generational shift. The second issue that really stood out for
But
me...
even Wanyoto is a young lady.
A young lady, but she had served, I think, twice.
No, once.
Once? Ah, okay. Yeah, then she falls in the category of Chris. So the other issue that really stood out is that there are no systems, there are no values, and there is nothing like integrity in the elections of the NRM primaries. So going by the comments by Right Honorable Kadaga, Honorable Bariomunsi, Honorable Mukura, even Uhuru, as much as he went through, he said for the first time he saw bags of money. Mukura is on record with 2 clips talking about the shamness of the process. Of course, Right Honorable Kadaga and the others. So NRM needs really to conduct in the future an election and not a loud commotion and circus like we've been seeing at Kororo.
So who would you say the new power brokers are? Is it the new kids on the block who've taken over, or do you think some of the old guards that bounced back still also are at the power center of the party?
For the record, President Museveni enjoys the company of young people because they don't have capacity to hold him accountable or challenge him or push back on anything.
What about the old?
The old in SEC were defeated, except the two ring-fenced offices of the vice chairperson, Alhaji Moses Chigongo, and the chairman himself, ring-fenced. Maybe if they were put on competition, they could also have lost. Who knows? We shall never know until there is competition on those two seats as to whether the owners could retain them. But going by the young people in cabinet and the decision to appoint young tax like my friend Richard Todong at the NRM Secretariat and the others, President Museveni is happier when he doesn't have his age mates on table, because his age mates have capacity to tell him off. The young people are only waiting for instructions to ask how high to jump.
So in essence, we
I don't
basically
think
do not
that-
have power brokers, even when...
That accusation to the young tax is correct. Because we have the old generation, we have the Chiyongas, we have the Rugunda, we have the Mbawazis, we have Maeda, senior citizens like Kagonyera, we have Tafire, we have so many of them.
I think it's Onotafire now
No,
that is
now.
pushing back.
Can you tell me that that old gang, we have like this Toro, who was the part of the folk gang,
Rugumayo,
Professor Rugumayo, we have Kamuntu, we have Kabugejeri. There are so many.
I know.
Tell me any of those that can make a statement like the statement Majomus has made.
Only Otafire can make it.
Only one.
Otafire.
Only one.
Babas
Yes.
did.
Only one.
Babas did.
But
So
where
what
is he
about now? Where is he now? So now,
Yeah,
please,
but the statement
I don't
he
think that it is right to say that the young generation can. I think even the young generation have done better, because I belong to that crop where they used us to call us rebels, and Bajumus was part of that. He has made a statement. Theodore Sechkobo, you know the statements has made. So I think for us, the younger generation has done better. We have stood against.
But I don't think,
power.
Honorable, you are in the younger generation, or maybe you are in the middle.
Okay,
Now you are
intermediate.
in
Let's
the
talk about the
middle.
younger one,
These
the
ones now, who can
30s,
be-
Honorable,
early
true,
40s.
if I may conclude, your generation could stand up, and that's why it was fought. That's how Honorable Nwagaba left the movement. Now Sechko is on his way out. Another one was Tinka Simile of the rebel MPs who was defeated. That generation.
Sereko.
Yes. But when you look at the younger people in cabinet with their current prime minister, I don't think they have capacity to push back on anything. That was my submission. So given the performance of cabinet, which is full of young people, save for the extremes like General Moses Ali, I don't think the current cabinet, of course the Bariomusis are there, they can say, no, here you're wrong. Of course he has remained himself what he used to be as a rebel MP, young Turk. But the majority of these young people who have come in, I don't know whether they can say, Mzee, no, we cannot do this. I don't know. I'm yet to see.
Thank you. Robert, let's come to you. Again, when you see what played out in Kololo, what are the things that stood out for you most that were maybe shocking, disappointing, annoying, and maybe even amusing at the same time?
Thank you, Judith. I think in January last year, I was asked by a journalist from another television to comment about the registration of the NRM party to form a national register, which this time looked a very big, expensive thing. And I told him that it was just a recipe for chaos. I predicted, and I'm very happy my prediction has come true, that it was going to end up into a very chaotic election. I'm only shocked that at Kololo nobody has died yet. I'm really shocked, and I pray it doesn't happen. But you could see something, because under the earth, even if you are dealing with the very low caliber people who are depressed and they are not thinking, how could the NRM register be higher than the national register? How? You mean it has registered some Sudanese and some Rwandese? 2, you mean other parties don't have members? And I said that register is going to be full of FDCs, is going to be full of other people, and it will never be there. And Sarah, you saw people are struggling for that paper to show their names, and most of the names were not there, until the president had to shut them up and tell them, everybody kwenda kaa chini and vote, because they wanted, there were some candidates who were insisting that they wanted people to be verified. They said everybody has a right to vote, but we need only delegates, they should be verified. They had no idea on how to verify voters. But for me, before even we reach there, I think NRM made a mistake, made a very huge mistake which they need to correct if they are still leading us. Because unfortunately we carry this baggage, because NRM is the ruling party. Otherwise, I told you last time, I wouldn't be discussing NRM things here. But we carry the baggage because they are the ruling party. And therefore, when they win like this, they form for us a disorganized government, and that's why we are having the problems that we have in this country. When you look at other parties which have the characteristics of NRM, they don't carry out elections for their top-notch bodies like this. CEC, in my view, is copied from the... You know, NRA normally operates as a shadow. I mean, NRM operates as a shadow of NRA. So it operates as a shadow. And therefore, CEC is a representation of what you would see in NRA as the high command. The high command of the NRA. And therefore, you cannot get a high command by allowing every villager from every place to come and vote the high command. The high command is selected by a special committee and its commander. So when you look at, for example, Chama cha Mapinduzi, what would be happening at Kololo would be reading out names which have been proposed and confirmed by the next tier, which is the central, I think the national NEC, National Executive Committee.
Which NRM also has.
That's what I'm saying. So these names should have come from NEC to now this delegates conference for approval.
But that's where they came from.
For approval, not for voting, for approval. Because you don't select, because these are 17 members.
So you are saying that the election should have been at NEC level?
The elections should be at the lower levels to get the representatives from the district, from the regions, from whatever. Then they go to National Executive Committee. Which one? Yes, in the National Executive Committee. And the National Executive Committee should also be to approve those names to come up here, and they are arranged in priority.
Where do they come from?
They say, for example, the other bodies, they are district committees. For example, if you are saying the man is for the east, why again do you give the people to the whole country to elect the one of the east, Mukula? Why do you, I asked that question here last week, and I was told that because he was going to be national. Yes. That's why they are fighting. Because somebody elects even somebody he does not know or does not have even interest in. Because why did they come up with things of East, West, Central, this league, the other league? Because of defense of interest. So you should allow those interest groups to nominate their people, then they only come here for approval. But if you are going to line up, you are lining up, I just imagine if they had not ring-fenced the one of chairman and his coveted vice chairman national, and you find people lining up, for sure, with the SFC, with all the things, who would line up on the other line of the other candidate? So if you look at NC, if you look at Chama cha Mapinduzi, they don't carry out elections at the helm of power. At the helm of power, they only bring names which have already been looked at by the organs of the party for approval. For approval. For example, this is a very strategic body of a party. Now, there is no way you can defend strategy by the general populace. In my view, there is where this popular democracy can stop. In my view. Because these are not people who are going to serve the public. No. These are policy makers of the party. And once they have made the policies, they go through the organs of the NRM and take them to the state to implement. It is the state which implements. So I think that model needs to be changed. If it does not change, we are going to continue seeing things like this. Number two, I think majority of our leaders, politicians, don't have strategists. And in 2025, I think Ugandans, if you want to be a leader, even if you just want to be a leader at my position, at a head of department in a university, you must have a strategist or strategic thinkers who think for you. And they tell you this one you can do, this one you cannot do. Because I, Ojiambo, who is not even a politician, I knew that Kadaga was going to lose badly. And I've been telling you people here. I was telling you that she was going to lose badly. And that loss, for us who write history, is not good for Kadaga to end like that. That Kadaga, I tell you, in eastern Uganda, in Busoga, we shall take another 50 years to construct another person of Kadaga's stature. Now, he goes to a national election and gets a paltry 7%. 900 votes. 900 votes out of 24,000 votes. 23,000 votes. And the one who defeats her with 11,000 and something. It is terrible. Even if they bought the votes, even if there was what, that is a bad picture. It is like you have landed from Mountain Elgon to the valleys in western Uganda in the Rift Valley. So in me, I thought if she had a strategist, the strategist would have advised her on what to do. She would have come, given the statement, after giving the statement of how she feels that this election is a sham, therefore, I am not participating because of this reason. But for you, you can't call an election a sham and you participate in it. So therefore, you are a pretender. You are a pretender. You are appealing to ego. You are appealing to emotion. Just like Bariomus, my friend. You can't call an election a sham and you participate in it.
He didn't participate.
He did.
No.
I have even the figures of the
not,
numbers.
No. He did not subject himself to a vote.
Are you sure?
Yes.
For Bariomus?
He pulled out.
Then people lying for
yeah,
a
but
wrong person.
in defense of my mighty party, NRM, first of all, Kadaga was advised, right to know Kadaga was advised by NEC and the chairman. Kadaga was told to concede. They respected her elderly status, her contribution to the party, and he was requested to leave the elective, not subject herself to elections, but be nominated as a special SEC member. she refused. She subjected herself to a vote with Anita Monge.
Yeah.
And Anita Monge had her for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Ah.
Anyway, the point you are making, the point which has also to be clear, let's also accept that the way things are going, there is the time when people should concede and say they not participate into elective politics anymore. And that is where I respect my mentor, Dr. Wakana Rugunda. Said enough is enough, I will not subject myself to elective politics.
I agree,
Okay.
Honorable.
So,
So,
I agree.
Right Honorable Kadaga, and what you are talking about, Right Honorable Kadaga came on affirmative action. And Sarah needs to advise and pronounce yourself on this. How do you remain on affirmative action for 40 years? 40?
You are still
or
vulnerable.
60 years. 60 years.
Yes.
How do you tell me that at a level, by the time you become a speaker of number 3 in the country, you become a prime minister, you become a minister, you become all this kind of thing, and you still think that I need to be protected on affirmative action,
Honorable,
on a woman
thank you,
vote.
thank you
You
for
get
the
my point?
information.
And
get
yet
your
Robert, I need you to
say
wind up so we move
you are
to the
nurturing
next
the
issue.
young generation.
I get your
So
information.
there's sometimes within
I get your information.
our people also not doing it in the right way.
Kadaga insisting to contest, she said she was being pushed out. They were pushing her off the lane.
She was given a position.
And what I am talking about is a different thing. I was talking about a political strategist. By the time, Honorable Banyenzaki, you go for an election, you must know in simple terms how many votes you are about to get. You should know. And you should not be shocked when you get maybe 10,000 or what. You should know, because you should have an infrastructure to help you to do that, especially a person who is at a level of Honorable Kadaga. But that was not the issue. The issue is NRM, like any party in Africa now, most of the political parties are state parties. They are attached to the state. CCM is attached to the state. The other one in South Africa, in fact, their names normally only change. RPF and RPA, they're almost the same thing. So because of that, people normally struggle to control the power of the state through the party. And if you went to Kololo yesterday, most of the vehicles there parked there were with red number plates. They were government vehicles. So government officers are competing for political things. And at the end of the day, they are struggling for power. Because you're asking, what is that they are looking for in this CEC? CEC is the high policy-making body of NRM. And for that matter, when you are in CEC, you are almost in government. You are in government.
Thank you,
and
Robert.
for deciding.
Thank you. Let me come to you, Honorable. And I want us to pick up from the losers, many of whom are historicals with very long history with the party. They were also attracted to the party for ideological reasons, unlike the younger generation that many see are basically attracted to the party due to capitalistic-driven interests. But what do you foresee for people like Kadaga, Jim Muhwezi, and that lot that has lost out? This definitely is the ultimate test to their loyalty to the party. But how do they then reorganize and make a comeback going forward? Is that even possible?
Their time is over. You see, the problem which we are having in the current, the problem which we are seeing now, are those old guards refusing to cede authority and power to the younger generation. You are saying that I'm in that generation. You see, the bush.
middle.
No, we are not even in the middle. We are in the young, upper young. There's a generation of the president, the president, the Rugundas,
Kasaija.
the Kasaijas, the late Chirunda
Kirunga,
Chivejinja. Now, that generation, below that generation, were the were the below that generation were the Kategayas. Kategaya you can put in Museveni's generation. Below that generation, there is the
Mukulas.
there is the Muntu generation. There is the Muntu generation, Biraro generation, that generation,
Mike Mukula.
the Mike Mukura generation. Now that
Kadaga.
generation, Kadaga is slightly in between. That generation should have ceded power to our generation. At the present
But
time, it should be our generation
They
in
didn't
charge.
have it.
And now it is our generation which would be preparing
The Bobby Wine.
the Mohozes, the General Mohozes. So this is like a first generation. So if you make it a first generation, it is what was in the Constitution. Because the Constitution had given 10 years, maximum 10 years to a president, not consecutive. So first generation, 10 years, seed leadership. The 10 years below, seed leadership, the 10 years below. So we would be the one in charge, our generation,
Sorry.
as of now. And we should be preparing this other younger generation which is coming. So all these three generations have been incinerated to give to the Bazukuru. Now even the Bazukurus are not even sure also. So now the Bazukuru have come home and they are saying no. And so what we are experiencing now, you could call it a generational placement against the old guards. And what these old guards also should believe and accept that their time is over. Because even if as we talk now, you see General Mohoz challenging at one time PLU, challenging the NRM. So we have an offshoot of NRM called PLU, patriotic what? This led by General Mohoz, which has come even challenge the NRM. So you can see there is a power struggle of the young generation and the old guards. So I think it is time that they accept it. And what on the positive note, what is happening now is positive, because the younger generation have come to assert themselves. The only question is the methodology, the procedures, and what you have been saying, Dr. Thieno, Ojiambo rather, things can be done better. If things can be done there, can be done better transparently. If there was no bribery, if there were no vote buying, things could be done better. Lining is not an issue. It's as good as showing hands. Actually, the issue of lining, we are the one who advocated for it when we were still in the formation of the NRM. We are the young generation, because we wanted those elections, internal elections, to be conducted transparently by that time. Unfortunately, now the transparency election that we advocated for has been marred by vote buying.
Honorable, sorry to cut you short, but when you're talking about the young people exerting themselves and making demands, are you in a way saying that this new SEC composition is the answer to the succession question in Uganda?
It is a message. It's a very strong message. Because if you see a young lieutenant, the lieutenant who defeated Muhwezi was, I think, a pet boy, something like that, on his wedding. That young man, lieutenant, who he defeated General Jim Muhwezi. If you see now this guy that has defeated Mukura, I think he's in his 50s. Anita is 51, has defeated who? Has defeated Kadaga. If you see the young man who has defeated Badyomunsi also, well, he's also in maybe 40s. So it is a strong message that their time has come, and a strong message that you old tax, your time is over.
Just a bit of information, Honorable. Lining up and raising hands, what makes a small difference? When somebody says Those in support of decision ABC, put up your hands. There is no time to wait to see which line is longer. So people decide from the heart. But lining up, on the other hand, creates this space for speculation. Which line is wrong? I don't want to stand on a shorter line and be humiliated alone. So there is no that time. That's the slight difference.
But maybe you could be right, but for me, I would advocate security voting.
But yeah.
Yeah, because this business of lining and, you know, it has been overtaken by the events. Because that's where, it encourages people to be bought, so people are putting their money where they will see. If I have given you my 4 million and you don't vote me, you will have to face it. If I have procured you and you have accepted to be procured, you must play to the game. So, but secret voting, you are alone, you know where you put your vote. So that would be a discouraging mechanism.
Okay, thank you. Let me come to you, Sarah. On the transition succession question, he thinks this is a loud message from the young generation that it's time up for the old guard to get off the stage. But also looking at the top positions in the party that are still ring-fenced. You have a national chairperson of the party standing unopposed. No one can come and contest with him, and his vice. Do you think they are getting the message from the younger generation that it's time up?
You know, when you look at the demographic details of Uganda's population, majority people live around the youth. We know that 0 to 30 is 73.7%. But young people in decision-making spaces, majority, like 70%, is between 18 to 50. 60, 70, 80 plus, they are about 100,000. Mere 100,000. I'm 7 years age mate. So if we said everybody vote for your age mate, the President Museveni wouldn't get more than 50,000 votes. So when you look at that, yes, but this is a fact. These are demographics.
I'm just laughing at vote for your age mate.
We call it demographic dividend.
You would be taken to prison. That statement there.
No, but everybody needs to read the detailed report of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Our census report is clear. So on the last voter register, I think they were 2%. Museveni's age mate. So yes, we oppress ourselves in terms of demographic strength and who is leading us. So when you look at this bulk of Ugandans between 18 to 50, what are their aspirations when it comes to leadership? And does this 80 plus generation fulfill those aspirations? No. Uganda is ripe for change. So whether you are in NRM, whether you are in the opposition, this generation 18 to 50 wants change. Who will deliver this change? This is what happened in Namboy. That's why whichever seat was up for elections, this generation voted them out. Because they are the majority. They want different kind of leadership. They want to see a Uganda that works for everybody. Not this system of Kyambongo. Who can you call? Just this morning. You know, systems don't work. And I want also to address the question of why people are scared of leaving leadership. Just this morning, my nieces were in the house, in a flat where they stay, and the transformer caught fire. Since last evening, nobody from the electricity, whatever company, responded. So this morning, when they told me, I decided to put the thing on Twitter and said, if you don't save these lives, because you've ignored all calls of distress, you will be sued for negligence.
And they rushed.
I called after 1 hour, and people had come and handled the burning transformer. So, but how do systems work in Uganda? If you fall sick, you need to reach the president to be airlifted to Nairobi. When you are not in leadership, you need millions to pay for your message to reach the president. Where do you get that money? I am on record, and since this person is deceased, let me disclose now. I had a good conversation with the Right Honorable Chirunda Chivejinja. I was asking him why he was going for re-election, going back into elective politics. Because after defeat by Katunt, he had been appointed. I was asking him, why are you going for this election? He said, I know my people. If you are not in leadership, you will be forgotten. Nothing will work out for you. On record, we were at Sheraton. And that's the time I picked his latest book before he died. And he autobiographed it. But when you look at that system, in Bushenyi, we've just laid to rest our big sister, Okrut. Fell sick in hospital. Response was slow. Airlifting to Nairobi was slow. Unfortunately, we lost her. So what happens to me and you, who have nobody to call, nobody to airlift, nothing? We on our own. So these people who have tested a bit of privilege, they are scared of living my life and yours, where the national referral hospitals are not functional, where you need lots of money to access quality health care, where you need lots and lots of money to be airlifted to Nairobi, which is now a referral for Uganda instead of Mulago. These are the lives they are scared of. So when you tell people to retire, it's not even a question of money. Even with the money, who will give you clearance from director medical services to go for treatment abroad? Even is this money enough to sustain you? So that's why you see people are killing and killing. We have lost 3 generations of leaders, as explained by Honorable Bariomuzi, because people are stuck on this privilege issue. If I am a member of CEC and there is a newspaper headline that my health is ailing in a village hospital in Kanungu, there will be attention to me. But if you, who are you to catch a headline that you are sick, that you can't afford the bills? Is it news? But for these big people, it is news. So we have systems that don't work. They want to get jobs for their children. They don't want to appear in office. And that I will refer to a clip of Robert Kabushenga when he said, retiring, is real. You reach a reception and somebody asks you, who are you? When he was used to that VIP attention, everybody jumping. The CEO of New Vision has come. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, people are scared of those things because our systems don't work.
Thank you, Robert. Your thoughts on the transition and succession question and whether the new composition of CEC is the antidote to that. If they are not, they've sent a message. That's what Honorable Banyenzaki says. But is their message loud enough to actually reach the ears of those who are supposed to be listening?
Transition would have been possible long ago, maybe 25 years ago. But there is this old man who is very used to playing with children. He enjoys playing with the children. So you will always have transition. If you go to our parliament, there is very good transition. People have changed. If you look at our parliament, it's one of the youngest parliaments in Africa. But the trouble is, as they are there, young parliament, what about the top? What about the top? For example, we have been a laughing stock in Kenya. In Kenya now, people are, comedians are getting a lot of money acting. Who is our prime minister, second prime minister, then you have a third prime minister, who in fact, our second prime minister, I don't know whether he attended the Kololo thing. I was looking around to see whether he came.
Oh, Moses Ali?
Yeah.
Did he come?
I doubt.
I'm asking.
Because
I didn't see him.
they may have to bring him on a stretcher. That is how bad it is. And it's not because this man is a bad man, but he's in a wrong generation. He should be somewhere, maybe acting as an elder, advising people about Madi culture, and maybe going to speak to UPDF young generals on how to live as a general and so many other things. The man is a member of parliament. He is the chairperson of NRM in his district. He is the candidate for NRM coming in next election. I think that's too much for him. But the elections down there, there is one thing which I don't like it, but it is the one happening. And you see, for us students of history, you may not like something, but you have to talk about it. There is a very strong influence of, he talked about PLU, Patriotic League of Uganda. When you look at majority of these people who have been winning elections, they are in that league. Anita Mong, you know, she said that for her she believes in God the Father, God the Holy Spirit, and God the Son. And she even elaborated that the Father is Museveni, the Son is Muhozi, and the Holy Spirit is Janet. So that's why even the president was very uncomfortable with Kadaga when Kadaga was trying to complain. Look at this young man from Bunyoro who has defeated Bariomunsi. He's in the Patriotic League. Really? Yes. Look at the person who defeated Jim Katugugu Muhwezi is in the Patriotic League. Hamson Obua, you don't ask. You don't ask. They are the mobilizers of the thing. So there is that force. There is that force which is slowly eating the movement from the Patriotic League. I don't know whether the movement, they used to call it the generator. The generator is more powerful than the electricity itself, it looks so. And that one becomes very dangerous because NRM is a state power. And once it is a state power, you see it preparing itself. And the president normally plans for 10 years ahead. And it looks like that plan is already working. I've been looking at him carefully. He plans for 10 years ahead. By the way, Yoweri Museveni is not planning for 2026. 2026 is a done deal. It's a done deal unless if there is a miracle here, there is a done deal. But he's now planning for 10 years. And that 10 years is very, very careful. You just look at everybody who was very skeptical with this PLU movement. In the army, they died of accident. They are being retired by force. They are going away, and it looks like there is a preparation which is taking place.
It's a strategic move.
Very strategic, and it will only shock those people who don't see things coming. Me, I will not be shocked.
The PLU?
Yes, the PLU is a very serious thing in the NRM. In fact, very soon it is going to engulf it. Look at Kasolo. Kasolo last time contested in his place there, and he would hardly get a vote. Kasolo now is a sang name, and it is because he's a member of that thing. He's a member of that PLO thing, and he has used
by
it.
Coincidence.
I don't think it is by coincidence.
Yes,
there are no honorable. There is no coincidence in politics. In politics, things don't happen by coincidence.
So, Robert, what you are saying, his thinking is this was a message about succession. But for it is not a message. You're saying this is not a message.
I know, Honorable
Banyenzaki. A strategic plan.
I've been reading his body language here. Even Honorable Banyenzaki must be a member of that thing. I am telling you.
Generational cause.
You hear? You hear? So this is something that is happening very quietly. It's not unfortunate, but the way it is being choreographed, it may lead us more serious problems than solutions to our problems of the country. Because unfortunately, this is a fortune, sort of a fortune hunting thing. People are hunting for fortune. And therefore, they are seeing where the fortune is. They don't have ideology, as you said. If you ask them why they are there, they just tell you, this is our generational thing. And the generator is our boss. You need a very serious thinking for a country. But that said, parties in Africa reach a time and they kill themselves. In fact, parties in Africa commit suicide. Look at ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe. This man who is there now is not a strong supporter of ZANU-PF, and that's why you see now in Zimbabwe it is not a party so much. It is the other person, because you remember by the time Mugabe died he was in opposition. Look at Kanu in Kenya, committed suicide, and today you go to the parliament of Kenya, you can't find a single MP for Kanu, not even a governor for Kanu.
UPC committed
UPC, I was reading about UPC in the heydays of the UPC. On 27th of May, they would all go to Bushenyi, and you would think that the whole country is in Bushenyi. And then the president would start counting the districts alphabetically until he reaches and Luwero. That time Luwero was the lowest alphabet of districts in Uganda. And he says, and Luwero. And you think the thing is going to be here forever. Kanu, you had I used to be a young man, living at the border. We would cross into Kenya. Every woman in my district, you know, Busia, there is Uganda and Kenya. So you just cross the other side. We speak the same language. We are relatives. I don't use a passport when I'm going to Kenya. I just cross and say, I'm going to see my uncle. Every woman had a Kanu lesu and something to tie on the head. These days, if they told you that they wanted a lesu for Kanu to put in the museum, and you may not get it. So NRM should not blind you.
We need to wind up and go into a break.
Yes,
Robert.
NRM should not blind you when you see everybody flocking Kololo. Tomorrow, if by bad luck something happened and NRM is out of power, you will not see these struggles of SEC and what. People will now be struggling for the one which will be in power. I don't know which one, but it will be.
Thank you very much. Let's take a break and then we will return and continue with our discussion on the NRM Delegates Conference and the Central Executive Committee elections of the party. This is the Citizens Chat Show. Do stay with us.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Thank you very much for staying with us here on the Citizens Chat Show, and a warm welcome back from the break. We're continuing with our discussion on the NRM Delegates Conference and the SEC elections. Before we went into the break, we were discussing the succession/transition question, and I had posed the question earlier that looking at the new SEC structure of formation, what does it tell us? Does it paint a picture of where the country is going, say, post-Museveni? And Dr. Ojiambo had actually given us his perspective, looking at the fact that a number of young Turks allied to the PLU have actually gained sufficient ground or significant ground within the party. And his thinking is that is not just a message, but that's a strategic move for the next leadership, the country's future leadership. Earlier, Honorable was saying he thought this was just a message, a very clear message sent to the highest echelons of power. Sarah, I want to hear what you think about
Honorable
this.
Banyenzaki, make it quick.
Oh, okay, fine. Just make it quick, then
Yeah, when you say a message, my view is that the young generation, we have given notice to the old generation that we are coming.
Okay.
And we are ready.
One says it's a message, another says it's a strategic move, not just a message. Well calculated, and they know what they're doing and when they will pounce and find themselves on the seat. What's your take?
Well, what's clear is that the transition speculation in the country is ripe across board. First, we have gotten rid of the safeguards. Part of the reason that many citizens blame on Kadaga's leadership during the removal of age limit. Although sometimes when you think twice and you're like, okay, she didn't vote. What could she have done? It was the MPs that did it. But it's blamed on her because it happened under her leadership. So we don't have those safeguards. We don't have a political calendar as to when the leader should come in and go. The remaining safeguard would have been free and fair credible elections. But we don't have a level playing field in our political terrain throughout the way the opposition parties are treated, and the conversation we just had of air on where is the credible alternative. Of course, they are navigating several challenges arising out of the political context in the country, and most of them seem to be, with a diminished influence. But largely you have this one-party state and others. And that was what was portrayed, like we have always discussed on this platform, in the referendum question. Do we leave those who want to go and organize in their own parties to go? And this is the present context, that you have NRM, which enjoys state facilities, state resources, state like Kororo. Does NRM party pay for Kororo, for 1 week use of Kororo? As a state infrastructure, do you pay as a party?
Yes.
How much? And who?
I doubt.
You don't.
We asked Awich the other day and he said,
You don't.
We do.
You don't, Honorable. You always dominate Chankwanzi, a national leadership institute established at independence. I'm sure even young people are confused. They might think NRM owns that facility. It belongs to Uganda. Do you pay for use of Chankwanzi? Your meetings at Chankwanzi are paid by state resources. So when you look at the
That
coverage,
I'm not sure.
yes, you don't pay.
But Kororo we pay.
We shall check. When you look at the live broadcast of the national broadcaster over 7 days, UBC should have made minimum of maybe 300 million per day if they were to give you a discount. So times 7, that's
2.1 billion.
yes. Did you pay? You don't. So when you look at the diminishing role of opposition parties, people must look at use of state resources by the NRM. I've just mentioned 3 facilities. If you are paying for these 3 facilities, we would have generated a lot of resources
How
from
is
the
NRM
NRM.
using UBC?
Coverage, live coverage of this conference.
But all the private TVs are covering it live.
No,
Yes, they are.
no, it's on UBC. Yes.
NTV.
No, and you should have
NB
paid for that
NBS.
space. No, you should have paid for that space on UBC. We should have made as taxpayers 2.1 billion from that coverage of the national conference. Did you pay, or you need to receive an invoice from concerned citizens? So if you removed these structures from NRM, what would remain of NRM? It's just of recent that you managed to both Chadondo. We used to say letters of intended eviction as a party. 40 years. I think you've bought it like for the past 6 years. But before you see NRM receives rent notes and you're like, really? A ruling party? Finally you bought to those small houses at Chadondo.
It's a plot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I congratulate you on that. Now you have a plot. After 40 years. So when you look at this so-called mighty party, now you which is happened on a plot after 40.
The most important thing is
look
ideology.
in 2 years, it has a structure. You have a plot with the small houses They are like
Mama
two.
ingia hapo.
Yes, really. So this is how shabby.
No. The most important thing is the ideology.
I hear you.
Mutima Gwansi.
I've also made my point. So if we remove this state advantage from you, including the several meetings you hold at State House, do you pay as a party? You SEC, NEC, abuse of office.
You
These
roasted me
meetings.
today.
Yes. Do you pay? So if these parties were to take the same advantage, they would also have leverage. We need to charge NRM for the NRM meetings at State House, for the use of Changwanzi, for the use of Kororo and Nambore, and for the use of
Will you give me a
airtime on the
chance to
national
reply
broadcaster.
back?
You will.
Yes,
Honor.
you will reply. So when we go to the transition question, which is overdue, we've missed 2 decades minimum of transition. We have an aged president, although I saw him trying to run from one term to another. Yes, he can run or he can, but his age official at 82, people who know him better think he's 84. But just even if we said 80 plus, how much more time does he have? Must he cling on power? If he was to be honest on that question, I saw his speech. He said he printed a 132-page booklet, but summarized it starting at 1,000 years. Then when he said 1,000 years, you see, in political accountability, if we were having smart, systematic leadership, he would have started his speech by the highlights of the previous conference and what he promised to do, and then give his plans, what he has achieved from the promises of the last conferences and his plan going forward. But when you tell people, I would have started at 1 million years, now I let him start at 1,000, really? How can you account for 1,000 years when you are aged 82? So all that hypocrisy. Uganda is ripe for change, and it doesn't matter who will offer this change, and it's inevitable. It will not be delayed any longer. If President Museveni is to be honest with this country for once, he needs to just wind up whatever business he's doing.
Thank you. Robert, let me come to you. And I'd like us to build likely scenarios of succession. I know it's hypothetical. From your earlier submission, you have a growing group of young people allied to the PLU, gaining significant ground within the ruling party. You also have, on the one hand, let's face it, a very ambitious speaker who has now made it to the position of national vice chairperson, second national vice, is it first or second? National vice chairperson, female. And you also have, on the one hand, the head of state who does not show any interest, yes, despite the age and all that, but he does not show any interest or willingness to leave the fray. What are the likely scenarios between 2026 or beyond 2026? What do you see?
You know, the history of revolutionary movements in Africa is very complicated. As I said earlier, because these start as bushy outfits, and therefore come with that military, in local language here they call it Chiekera ideology. They are normally very difficult to predict because they keep reincarnating like snakes. And of course, if you look at, for example, the first early movements in Africa, in Sudan, in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Ghana, it failed because it was interrupted with a lot of coups and counter coups. In Nigeria, the same thing, a lot of coups and counter coups. In Uganda, and Uganda is a copycat of Libya, where you had a strong Gaddafi who felt that he had come for the people of Libya and placed a lot of propaganda which was not censured to an extent that some of us believe that when you are a male kid in Libya, you have a house, you have a car. Recently, when I managed to go to that place, I discovered the opposite. So it is very, very difficult. In most cases, they don't want to talk about succession, but they plan it. And the problem with these revolutionary movements, they are cowards. They fear anybody from out. So they plan it from within the family or within the real thing. And I've seen that happening in Uganda. For example, it is now common knowledge a family member is the commander of UPDF, so, which they call here CDF. And that should not be taken for granted, because in Africa, who commands army commands authority. And once you have the army in your hands, it is very easy to run the politics, because the politics in most cases is a copycat of the army, because the army dictate a lot of things in what you do. These constitutional processes can take place, but they will always ask, what is the army saying? And when the army says it is okay, it is okay. If it is not okay, so you find in Africa the army rotating around leadership. It is just a few countries, like for example Kenya, where the army sits aside and waits the politician to do their things and give them protection. But when you look at, for example, Tanzania looks a very democratic country, but is one country where even the death of the president is announced by the commander. The commander is the only person in their constitution, they have put it, is only the only person who can announce the death of a president. And why they say so? Because he first has to take charge of everything to make sure that nobody interrupts the peace of the country. And that's why you saw that Magufuli's death was announced by that person. So Samia just went there to give information that now the public, we have lost a president. So when you look at Patriotic League of Uganda, and you look at the leader of the Patriotic League of Uganda, which almost he wanted to behave like a party. But later when they were challenged constitutionally because its leader is still a serving officer, they now said, no, it is a pressure group. But this pressure group so looks like it is allied to NRM, because I've been seeing posters of candidates. There is NRM here, there is Patriotic League at the side. But there are those without Patriotic League. And go and check. Majority of those ones which did not have Patriotic League, they are failed. So succession, look at that one very carefully. The other thing, you have brought in Anita. I really want to credit Anita. She's a survivor. She's a hustler in Ruto's language. She's a hustler. Moving from a tailor in a commercial bank, a bank teller from a commercial bank, to where she has reached now number 3 in the country. Don't discredit her.
The other time she told children that she used to work as a maid. She didn't just to move from the bank.
Okay, that I knew the official one. The official one was the bank teller. She has reached number 3. Don't discredit her with these CIVIC things, because these things are neither here nor there. In our constitution, the Speaker of Parliament is guard number 3. So reaching there, you can't doubt her that she cannot be a president of this country. She's of the generation that is active in Uganda. She wields a lot of power. She now has money, and she's a hustler woman. She's a hustler woman. What we used to call in our school times a go-getter. She's a go-getter. And go-getters can do very well in the environments like Uganda, where they are caning people. She will manage the people who are caning. She has to only do one thing to protect herself from being eaten by the revolution. So if she succeeds in that. But Uganda is a very surprising country. You should not forget. When you read the history of Uganda very well, it's a very surprising country. There may also be a surprise. Who is somewhere quiet, is not saying anything. You remember when Museveni was challenging and saying he was going to the bush, the then president called him a bandit. You're just a bandit.
A
Bandit.
A bandit.
Oh, the pronunciation, yeah.
You're just a bandit. You're just a bandit. And the bandit is now here for 40 years. Nobody ever thought that, people thought that maybe the Rugumayos, the what, those, we are going to be the leaders. And they thought, for example, Mwanga was the one being prepared by Obote to take over UPC, and Mwanga ended up in prison. So you also don't take that out. There must be somebody. But what I agree with, that the next leader of Uganda is not going to be an old man. It's not going to be these revolutionary people who went to the bush and so on. It's going to come from the 50 and below, because even if you just brought the old man and you forced him on the people to vote him, they will not vote him because of that generational difference. So we are going to get a young man. But the problem with these revolutionary governments, they leave the government in tatters. They leave the government in tatters. So much so that the next president is going to be more problematic than this one.
Thank you. You want to respond to something?
Yeah. I've been on this forum with Doctor and talking about this football, who will win, who was the kick. His submission is zunga-zungaring. It is not specific. You get? And let me tell you, in this current scenario of the governance and this country, we have creepers. That was to use on Right Honorable Mushega's words. We have creepers.
Yes.
And we have self-made leaders. We have self-made men, gentlemen, politicians. In that category.
And the women.
They are the Banyenzakis. They me. I'm self-made. In this politics of this country. We have the Tayebwas, Right Honorable, self-made. We have the Badyomonsis, self-made. We have the Nwagabas, self-made. We have that generation of leaders who are self-made
so
leaders.
From northern Uganda,
we have the Maos,
okay.
self-made. We have the Kidegas, self-made. That is our generation. You get? But we have creepers. So, these people you describe, the creepers, think that a creeper, these creepers, and you say that they are so great, you are exaggerating the creepers. And we have put this question. When I was in Parliament, we put a question. We have like Felix Okotogong. These are self-made leaders. When we put a question to the president that shaped the transition, he said, "I'm not here to handpick the next president of Uganda. A leader will emerge." And we are going to see a leader emerging. And this leader which is going to emerge will come from the right generation that is taking over these leaderships in CEC, that is taking leadership in Parliament, that is even in the private sector. We have seen this King Caesar Mulenga, who was competing with Basajja Baraba for this league. From nowhere, nobody knew him. He's emerging, you see, and we are at the same age, we're in the same class. So, a leader who is going to come will be the self-made, because we have, you know, nobody made us. Nobody made Sarah Bireete who she is. We are self-made and determined. And this kind of determination that we have, believe it or not, it will yield the results. So, what the current NRM has done is to set that stage for the self-made leaders to emerge. Much as we may have some challenges, but we shall come, we shall emerge. A leader will emerge from our generation. And a leader, it will not be that the creepers. The leader is not going to come from the creepers.
Who are the creepers?
Those who clone themselves, to these old gods, and they just climb on that. You know
manipulate their way,
manipulating their way up to the top. But we have those self-made who have made it and they have come to the top. without creeping on other person.
So
And that's why I'm giving
I
you the
have a question
examples.
for Honorable.
Like the Tayebwas,
But that
Given-
one is also
given-
like the Banyenzakis here.
Given that example you
The-
have
the
given,
Bajomonsis.
how would you categorize the speaker? Is she a creeper or is she self-made?
Can you answer?
I can't answer for you. I can't answer for you.
When I was describing, what did you say that when I was describing? Okay, let me describe what a self-made leader is in this situation. These are the people who come on the scene. We come and you know.
But Honorable, the question is very simple.
No, you can give it to them as homework. I agree.
I don't want to
Okay.
It's
to-
fine.
It's understandable.
I want to leave Anita Mong in her. When I was naming, I didn't name one of those, you know. But she has come up. If Anita Mong remained in the opposition, there where she was in the FDC, definitely she was really asserting himself. I think those who know her in FDC, she was very active. But in the NRM, she's just 3 years.
Creeping.
3 years old. And within 3 years old, she's on the top.
Creepy.
So she has not grown organically within the system.
I hear
so
you.
the leaders I'm talking about are those who have come organically.
And yet the organic leaders have been
Yes,
rejected. That's what we've seen.
The organic leaders. No, those ones we can make them the war. What do we call those who went in the bush?
The historical.
The historicals. Yes. And mind you, these historicals also came to power. They were also self-made. There's nobody who made Museveni a leader. There's nobody who made these Katugugu who they are. From the bush, the Montus, the late John Kazora, the Amanya Mushegas, they went in the bush. Few as they were, they took on the bull by its horn. And they were self-made. Museveni is a self-made revolutionary leader. So we are going to have another generation of ours that is going to be a determined generation, ours and below, that will be a self-made with self-determination, and we shall come on the top. And believe me or not, the population will accept that leadership. And
How much time do you think you have to actually get there?
time is now, we are already there.
But Judith, I just want to tell the
And we are not creepers.
There is one philosopher in the name of Machiavelli. He's a man who talks about reality. He says the end justifies the means.
Meaning?
So whether you have creeped, whether you are self-made, at the end of the day, are you there? Look at Ruto.
Yeah, but can you sustain
Ruto is suffering
Because he creeped.
Are you saying that
Kenya.
Are you saying that Ruto creeped?
Yes.
Yes. And he's there, he's the leader.
I don't want to discuss politics of Kenya. But I can tell you, if you follow the the movements of Ruto up to the top, that's why you are calling him a hustler. He hustled through all those.
Creeping
Creeping.
is hustling.
No.
He creeped. And he's sweating
Anyway,
plasma.
me, I'm talking on Uganda.
Honorable, I want us to circle back to Kololo,
Yes.
to the contests that we saw. From your experience that you shared when we started this discussion today, I told you to just let us know from your vantage point of view what happened, and you gave us quite a good picture, especially the bit of money. And I think one can say what happened in Kololo was actually not a vote, it was a transaction. So what does this tell us about access to power within the party and the will of the people?
You see, what is it, when you talk about that issue, monetization of politics now, I think the problem is also coming from the hangovers of that. It has come up as a result. It is a scenario that has been created by the hangovers.
The creepers.
not the creepers, the hangovers.
What's the difference between the two?
The hangovers are those ones who have been at the stage and they want to stay there by hook or crook. And because they've been there and they wanted to stay there by hook or crook, they introduced the monetization of politics now. Now, when they introduced this monetization of politics of one now these other ones of our generation now, they said we shall compete. We shall also show you fire. But then as we are saying that we shall show you fire, this young generation is also coming and say we have the numbers. So there is going to be a time when money will not work. And I can tell you that time has been fraughting, where the generation come without money, but they still win the election. When I came on stage of political stage, I competed with Honorable Ezra Suruma at that time, who was a former governor, who was a former managing director. I was very young. He had everything it takes to be, he had all the money. But I did not have the money. But I won the election then. I was very young, 32. I was very young. And the population believed in me. And that was the time when the reform agenda, that was the days of the reform agenda. So we have leaders. I remember my cohorts. Like there was like Chibazanga, who also came. And at that time in Kasese, there was Chionga. But those Chibazangas came. In my time, there were Gundas, and that Suruma, I came. I was followed by, there was other young men like Musasizi, the current Minister of State. He came later. And this, it cuts across. So this kind of leadership of Wiz and that generation, even Sarah attempted to come at one time when he contested with my mentor also, Lady Bernadette Bijirwa. But she's still here, leading, she has occupying her space in the civil society. So this generation of ours is going to network. And I'm not here by accident. I also network with her. We network with those in the civil society. We network with those in politics. And we shall make it. So me, I'm not pessimistic about the situation. The way, Doctor, you seem to be. Me, I'm an optimist. And I believe it will happen. What we need to do now as a generation, my message to the generation, my generation and the generation of ours, is to remain steadfast. And when we remain steadfast, we should position ourselves to offer good leadership. And this good leadership we are going to give is not necessarily in NRM. That's why there is, for example, the PLU, that is the rules stuff, which is not the surrogate of NRM, but NRM has come to accept it. So the leadership is going to come from us, and it will, when that time comes, there will be a real change. Change is coming. You cannot obstruct change. It will come. President Museveni has now started telling us, prepare yourselves. My days are becoming, my days are
Privately?
coming. No, publicly. He started telling us that his seat in heaven is waiting for him.
Really?
Because he have done the best for this country and for Africa. And then he said, you prepare yourselves, you, the younger generation.
Thank you, Honorable. Sarah, do you buy into this optimism that our elections are actually going to get sober enough or sane enough that we actually eliminate the commercialization of politics? Looking at what has just happened in Kololo, billions of shillings, 5 billion, 6 billion shillings spent on buying votes for positions that are voluntary. If you're watching and you don't know what billions of shillings are, we're talking about the equivalent would be millions of dollars. Are you optimistic?
What I know is that no leader has ever succeeded to suppress the population forever. None. I have faith in figures of Ugandans, and for the record, I wanted to be more accurate, so I've been getting them. This is the breakdown of Uganda's population by age of 10. 0 to 9 years, 15.3 million. 10 to 19, 12.3 million. 20 to 29, 9.3 million. 30 to 39, 6 million. 40 to 49, 3.3 million. 50 to 59, 2.1 million. 60 to 69, 1.09 million. 70 to 79, 0.47 million. 80 to 89, 0.14 million. 90 plus 0.03. Yeah, that's 100. They are 142 from 80 to 89. The 142,000 Ugandans cannot hold this contract to ransom. They cannot. It's better for them to prepare decent retirement and go. You cannot suppress this population, which is heaviest at 0, by the way, the heaviest population is 0 to 4 years. No. Uganda's highest population is 0 to 4 years. I have a smaller breakdown. 0 to 4 years is 8.6 million. You cannot suppress these children. How?
When they grow.
They don't even know you. Yes, of course. So what I'm saying, they don't know you. You can't.
Let's talk about the population between 15 and 55.
Yes, it's also, that's why I said it's the biggest.
Those ones who know.
It's now the biggest. So when you go to...
And they are ready.
Yes. So even if you started from 15 to 19 is about 5 million. Then you start at the 9. You know, it's the biggest. It's about 30 million. If everybody registered to vote, you would have about that population as voters. They don't know you. Somebody who is 39 years today, you don't tell them of the bush, we ate cassava, we slept where. They don't want to know. And they are comparing Uganda with other countries.
Absolutely.
They want Uganda to move. Absolutely. So these stories of enclave economy, the 3 C's and 3 T's, people are just looking at you as a Stone Age. Because they are dealing with e-commerce, e-economy. They are in the digital economy. Now you are telling them coffee, cotton, tobacco, whatever, the things that are already dead, that we couldn't even sustain. And then they do what? They are living in a digital world, earning highest money from the digital economy. So what are you telling them? Change is inevitable here.
So you agree with me?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
So on that, do you think we can actually get to a point where we do away with money in our politics completely? And also, I want to throw the same question I asked Honorable earlier. With all this transactional politics that we saw, the transactional elections that we saw, what do you think, what does this tell you about access to power within the party and the will of the people?
You know, sometimes you need a hard talk, and for people to deal with real problems that affect societies like Uganda. What is bringing money in politics? You need to first look at that very carefully.
Transparency.
Number one is immoral leaders, people who don't have any ethical standards of how they want to run their society. They would have used any other means. Our leaders here, if to access leadership is cutting people with the pangas, they would cut. Or burning houses, they would burn. But the money is because we have majority of that statistics. We have a very growing population which has almost nothing to do. People have gone to school, some of them are qualified professionals, some are doctors, medical doctors. You know, sometimes when the president says, oh, they have done wrong courses, they are medical doctors. but they don't have a clinic to practice in. Some even don't have where to do an internship. We have so many of our children who are now waiting to go and do internship in medicine, and they are now taking in quarters. So sometimes an election period gives them a survival, a small survival thing. So somebody is giving 10,000, can use it for transport to go and look for survival. So at the end of the day, in economics, there is a demand and supply. So because of that desperacy, some people have turned politics to be a job where you can get something to survive on, survivalism. And that's why these crafty leaders are now using that method to buy these people who are desperate to vote for them. Because now when you come to Kololo, there is some Kalito allowance you are going to get, and some other chance. It also gives you an opportunity. Maybe you'll be enrolled into the next monitors of elections next year. So there are those small things. So the first thing which I encourage people like Banyenzaki who are very optimistic, how do we remove those things? For example, how do we make society to feel that certain things are bad, that when you do it, really society rejects you. You remember when the speaker went to Kalungu, to that lady who had been accused of corruption, and she said in a public TV that at least this one steals and brings it back to you, and the people clapped. I felt bad because such a thing creates a society that at least this one is a thief. But when he or she steals, brings it back to you. So there is that lack of guilt. Lack of guilt that if I do this. But with the money in election, it is going to be very difficult. So we have to...
It's not lack of guilt, it's social acceptance, I think.
Yeah.
Social acceptance of corruption.
Yes. So I want to encourage people like Banyenzaki, we need to sit down and find out how are we going to create this condition that makes a fraudulent person an outcast. So that when he mentions, they mention you as a person who has stolen money from an organ. There is an MP, I will not mention his name, in Western Uganda there. He was in a parastatal, in a certain parastatal. As he was exiting, there was a very huge scandal in that parastatal. And he left, then he went to contest for MP. And he was giving money. He's one of the strongest MPs from Western Uganda. They will not say the district because people can guess. That man became very powerful. He was giving people money. He came straight to parliament and is now an MP. So when people see like that, it means that whenever they announce an election, people have to first go and look for money. People are now mortgaging their houses. They are doing this to get money for elections. So if we don't remove that, the hope that you are preaching may not be true. But we need to work on that. But the truth is, what I agree with you, there is no way that these old people are going to hang on. Because even us in the university, we are saying, how come that vice chancellors must be 65 and 70 and above? And very soon we are going to force amendment of the law, that Universities and Tertiary Institutions Act. Because by the time becomes a vice chancellor, he's not one of us. He is 70 years old.
Professor, you don't know that thing, that staff in universities, they are just... they have their own, what do you call, resource manual. They don't go by the law.
No, they do. They do.
I have been a member of one of the university council member, and I have seen it.
On the vice chancellor, it is by the act. It is not the manual.
The Higher Education Act?
No, the universities are the
Tertiary
Institution
Act.
It does say
Article 35. Go and read it.
It says that what?
It is the one which describes who can become a vice chancellor.
65 and above?
Yeah.
Up to
not
age?
65.
60. Not beyond what?
And 45 and above. But because of the structure of the university...
Does it have the age limit?
No.
Okay. That's the point.
So that is what now is determined by the manuals. The manuals determine the age limit. So like, for example, Makerere is 70, this one is 70, and so on.
Dumba tried to lift it.
Yes, but he failed. Because, let me tell you, Honorable Banyenzaki, what you are talking about, and Sarah, is very real. A man of 70 years cannot plan for people of 18 and 35. He will be looking for shoes, which are these go back to school. Young people want Crocs. They don't want to go back to school.
What
they want
for
Crocs.
The nation is a system.
They want Crocs. So I agree with them that for sure we are going to get a younger generation leadership very soon. But what is very clear also, Judith and viewers, is that the money is going to still control. Because even the CEC group you are showing us here, majority of them have been catapulted there by money. There is none of them, I can bet, there is none of those guys who have gone through who has not used more than 100 million. None of them.
Just supplement on the question of money. In today's newspapers, when Michael Mukula kept talking about money, I know many people were wondering, saying, but this is an entrepreneur who has previously flown jets all over the country and all kind of thing. So you would expect that he has enough resources if he wanted to deploy the resources.
Didn't want but the resources.
Yes, but his competitor is a son-in-law of the former U.S. Treasury, U.S. Secretary for Treasury, and former chairman of Rockefeller Foundation. That is the family he is married from. So he married into big money. And it's no wonder.
It has dwarfed
it's no wonder is the competitors gave up. No.
Are you done?
Yes, I was just giving information of the money.
That's interesting.
That's speculation.
It's not speculation. Marriage is a permanent relationship.
You marry a person, you don't marry money.
No, but you marry the benefits that are associated
that
with
accrue from the family.
So I want us to come back to looking at what happened in Kololo again, and all these questions around internal democracy within NRM and so on. What kind of democracy does NRM hope to deliver for Uganda come 2026 with what we've seen?
Oh, I'm very glad you are saying my party is going to win 2026.
No, should they? Should they?
No, you know, one thing I want to say here, I now want to submit as a nationalist and a person who believes in institutions. Even if you said now that DP or UPC comes to power in 2026, the DP, that party will have to inherit the national development plan that is already in place and that has been put in place by the National Planning Authority. So what runs a country are institutions. If institutions are put in place and they are functional, no matter who comes in, the country still goes ahead.
True.
That's why you see like in America, whether you have Obama, who is a Democratic president, or you have Trump, who is a Republican with that age of 80 plus, the country moves on. That's why you see, like in China, it is the same story. So in the case of Uganda now, definitely, if we go by our plans, we shall deliver. And the plan that is there is a good plan, the National Development Plan. It's a 5-year plan. We have a 40-year plan. We feed in even the 60-year strategic plan of the African Union. We feed also in the Sustainable Development Goals plan of the United Nations. So the institutional development, the institutional governance matter a lot. So if we have strong institutions, whoever comes, whether it is NUP, whether it is who, the institutional governance is very, very important. And now, therefore, when I come back to my part of the NRM, because these institutions have been put in place during the era of the NRM. Definitely, if we manage to this corruption that we have in this country, and with other vices, definitely the NRM will deliver. The plan is there. The plan is good. And what is even the beauty, I think NRM is very strategic. It's more strategic than even these other parties. Now, the manifesto of the NRM is derived from the National Development Plan, which is a very good policy paper. And these other parties, if they were to be smarter, they would also derive their manifesto from the National Development Plan.
No, but Honorable, I hear you, but you say if the party manages, but by all indications, your party has failed to manage the corruption in this country four decades down the road. So at what point should Ugandans again, how much time do you need to manage?
You know, I concede, yes. I concede. I don't have to deny. Even the president has conceded that the corruption has grown into an unimaginable scale, and he has promised that he will do something about it. I don't know. But the way it is that we have been talking about the generation that is coming in, I think something has to be done about this kind of corruption because it is too much.
Thank you. Sarah?
You know, when Honorable Banyenzaki was talking about corruption and the president conceding and saying he would do something about it, I imagined, like, you know, when there is a threat, like a lion is around the home area, then the leader of a family in the village set up where I grew up. The leader of a family, you go out maybe in the plantation with your spear to protect your family. And maybe say when the lion tries to enter, I will spear it. Maybe that's what President Museveni is doing with corruption. Let me tell you this.
But if you're a fierce man like a Mchiga man like me, you will spear it.
But you know that rural setup. So maybe the president is taking cover somewhere, waiting to spear corruption. Among the 10 points program, point number 7 was elimination of all forms of corruption and abuse of office.
At all levels.
You have scored beyond 0. I don't know whether you can award marks in negatives.
Yes.
Yeah, you are in negatives already. Maybe I would give you like negative 50%. You have gone beyond 0. Because NRM strategy for power retention is money and violence. But now they are overwhelmed by their own monster, which they raised as a pet. Now this pet is having them for lunch or for breakfast. The money issue. If you investigate the candidate who used above 6 billion in the SEC race, part of the stories have started coming up, including Nachivubo channel story, saying, you know, Ham supported these SEC elections, so that's why the investigation cannot proceed. So anybody with any fraudulent deal, you rush to Kororo, you fund somebody. So like Nachivubo channel, Honorable Segona is told, stop, don't hear anything. Ham has paid the bribery bill. Then you go, so that's how the company is governed.
The digital election thing.
So when you put a power retention strategy as voter bribery to manipulate the decisions of voters, that's what you find yourselves into. So anybody, that's why people, even they fight for SEC. Power brokers, deals, corruption. Nothing else. I don't know whether the new generation will come up with something new.
Our generation will bring that to an end.
Yes, the people who have won, I hope they change that.
Not that one. Our generation.
The one outside.
The generation that is coming to take leadership.
And the moral compass of any party, of any country, is its leader. So if you have the president who doesn't also hesitate to carry a sack of money in broad daylight, I think now he no longer has energy. So when I saw Uhuru saying, I for the first time have seen sacks of money, I was like, where was this man when the fountain of honor carried the sack of money to Soga, the poorest region in Uganda, and then people immediately he put it down. People disappeared with the parts of the contents. So
I was being generous to people of Soga.
So really, NRM has bred its pet, a monster for a pet, and the monster is having them for breakfast.
Thank you, Robert. NRM internal democracy versus national democracy. What do you expect the party to deliver for Ugandans in its quest to retain power?
If you look at NRM from 1996, when we started elective politics, I think every 5 years we have deteriorated in service delivery. If, for instance, you looked at 1996, you know, we had that honeymoon from 86 to 96. And at that time, there was something done. That's when the little things that we are benefiting from today happened, because we did not have election. Once election came in, what Sarah was talking about, the power retention project, the project moved from Uganda project to Museveni project. And once we started the Museveni project, which we are now running, even these things in Kololo, all this is Museveni project. We have been deteriorating year in, year out. If you look at our debt to so and so ratio is now worst. If you look at our employment rates, they are worst. If you look at our infrastructure, although they are saying when a witch is seated, where I'm seated here says that you can travel from any corner, you look at the state of our roads, especially in central Uganda here, they are terrible. Look at our education. There is a time when Uganda was a hub of education in East Africa. People are coming from Kenya, from Rwanda, from Tanzania. They are no longer coming, and they are not coming. Somebody needs to investigate it. What is the problem? If you look at trade, the traders these days cannot take 3 months without striking. Today they are striking about e-freeze. The other day they are striking about a kilogram of clothes. The other day they are striking about Batembe, who are Koreans and Chinese. So when you look at that and you want to project 2026 and above, and you think it is going to be better than this one, you are really a dreamer, a serious dreamer, because all the indicators show that with this aged president, who is now not able to travel the way he used to do, he has only done this during the PDM rotations. But in most cases, far away places, he has to go with the helicopter, and the vehicles pick him from the nearest school playing ground. When you look at the people whom he's putting in place to work for him, an example is a prime minister. You look at the prime minister, is the supervisor of ministers. Almost when you look at her carefully, she has no idea of what she's supposed to do. She goes to dance with the people in football grounds.
She has developed it. She now has capacity.
I doubt. Look at the ministers. In Uganda now we have 81 ministers. 81 ministers, both full cabinet and their assistants. Some of them, if you go to them and you have a cane and you ask, explain to me what you do. If you fail, I'm going to cane you. You will cane most of them. So looking at all those, after 2026, you are just going to hear more scandals. The more unacquitable channels are going to be taken. You people, I don't know whether people see the rate of wet land exhaustion in Uganda. Every wetland now is being filled with the soil to build there either a petrol station or a warehouse or something. With those kind of things, we are just going to get more floods. We are going to get more problems. I don't see any
Thank you.
This
and I want you to conclude as well in just 1 minute. Yes.
I'm being hosted by CIVIC TV, isn't it?
Civic Space TV.
Civic
yes.
Space TV. On this Civic Space TV, we should be empowering the civilians on the issues of governance. Doctor, my very good friend, we should come here and civilize put in severe how these citizens. Number one, I don't want to come here and glorify individualization of the management of this country. The management of the nation should be through institutions.
Where are they?
There are institutions which are there. We should advocate for their strengths. Number two, much as I sympathize with the traders, etc., there should also be a civic education for these people, for whoever is in business, to pay taxes. If you see the ratio, the tax revenue ratio, in this country, it's one of the lowest in Africa and in the world for that matter. Why? Because people in business don't want to pay taxes.
But many of them do.
Don't we also have the highest percentage of indirect taxes?
What I hate most is where is this tax going? The embezzlement of public funds. That one, I don't agree with it. And we should also educate the people to fight that vice of corruption, the embezzlement of public funds. That one we should. So therefore, when you talk about this revenue correction, why are we having this debt burden? Because the revenue correction is very low. Why are we not having the infrastructure, which is the state-of-the-art infrastructure? Because we don't have the revenues to sustain that. That is the fact.
I disagree.
That is the fact. Because we don't have the money.
And
because we don't have the money, we are always running to do the borrowing. We should stop borrowing and develop our economy through domestic revenues. And that to have increased domestic revenues is to have a tax base which cuts across and which should be like 25%. In the countries where we go, where we run for donations, those people, they pay 40%, the ratio of tax, those ratios, 40% of their incomes directly go to pay taxes. Here, what's the percent that's going? It's around 12.5%. So therefore, as a civic space TV, let us educate the population on how they can participate into the governance of this country. And we open their eyes to fight all these vices. And also, we talk to this generation to prepare themselves that our time, their time is coming.
Thank you. And your conclusion, sir?
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as citizens to ensure that we vote out fraudulent leaders out of power.
Right.
Any leader who needs sacks of money, any leader who needs to ferry delegates, any leader who needs to bend the rules of the game is not suitable for leadership. Citizens have degenerated into demanding for money. Even when you go on to educate them, to say where is money. Yet in normal circumstances, you pay to acquire education. So if Civic Space TV went to educate people, what they other than this platform we control, they will ask us to pay them. So they have also degenerated into being too transactional and participated in enabling fraudulent leaders. So I'm calling upon citizens, if people bring fake money and you want to eat it, but vote for proper leaders.
Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, I just want to build on what Sarah is saying, that leadership determines a lot of things in our country. And sometimes people have started taking these elections as a joke. Give us our thing, we eat, and you go and do your things. They forget that the people they are sending are the ones determining which hospital is constructed where, which medicine is put in the hospital. That's why in Mulago, for instance, now, you only go to that place in most cases to get a death certificate. In most of those places, I was looking at the statistics. The statistics of survivors at the Cancer Institute is only 4%, and that is terrible. for a hospital. And two, I really feel that young people,
But
in
that
most
is
cases,
the state-of-the-art cancer
yeah,
in East Africa.
in
region.
Africa, in Africa.
Survival rate is
4%, 0.4%, 4%. So I really think that young people need to take leadership and politics serious. It's not a joking matter. Number two, the issue of money. Once they pay you, it's like a ransom. Somebody takes your right, and once they have taken your right, they are free to do anything that they want. Example is how we have lost our public entity in Uganda. Like Sarah, you are talking about that Nakivubo channel thing. There is a statutory body which is supposed to investigate that matter. The speaker has said that one go aside. He has said, she has said 5 people can investigate it. How sure are we that those 5 people are going to give us a good verdict?
Because HAM funded the said elections.
And this funding of elections is one very serious thing. In the United States of America, in the 70s, it led to Nixon to resign after that Watergate scandal. So in this country, we need to get serious and we chase away these people with their money. And until we do that, we are not going to succeed, whether educated or not educated. The issue of taxes, we shall have another day, Honorable. But we want to encourage young people that take voting and elections very serious, because leaders determine our life, whether to survive or to die.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, Dr. Sarah Bireete, and Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, and to you who's been watching. We do appreciate you for making time to join us on this discussion. We've been talking about the NRM SEC elections and the Delegates Conference. Of course, this has been quite a revealing chapter in Uganda's political story, and we continue to watch further developments, not just from the NRM, but from the various political camps as the journey or the road to 2026 begins in earnest. Thank you very much. Do join us again next week, same time. My name is Judith Atim. Bye.